here we have this week's TechA video newsletter on Monday the 17th of December 2007. TechA is a service provided by insightsupport.com, which is the trader training resource and course. Now, as ever with the TechA video newsletter, we work our way through the indices from the CAC, DAX, Dow, FTSE, NASDAQ, and finally onto the NIK. So let's begin. Well, here we have the CAC. And one of the things we noticed with the CAC was there was a possibility last week of it breaking a resistance. There's quite a strong resistance created by various points of consolidation. One of the things we noted that there was a possibility of a slowdown was that there was a very thin market as we approached the resistance. A thin market basically is where the candles start to thin out, where the actual real body, which is the thicker part of this candle, starts to reduce. Which basically shows that the intraday trading, or the open and close, the difference between that is very small, which basically relates to a very thin market. As that approaches a resistance or a support, it basically means it's slowing down and the sentiment within that market is about to change. We got that with the CAC and in fact many of the other indices which we're looking at today. It slowed down, but it did something very unusual. Basically the market opened very low on the following day and then moved hugely. There was huge bullish moves during the day and a great deal of intraday trading, very wide. But the following day it actually moved a lot lower, and in fact if we look at the intraday chart for today, if I can get that up, hold on. So let me select the right chart. We can see it's at around about 5.533, round about there, and that would put us around about this point, if not below this period here. So what we could have, and I think we are going to see the remainder of this week, is a further retracement back down and the market to land between this period of consolidation, which basically means where it's at the moment pretty much is very close to the actual support. So once that support is broken, we have a further support at 5,300, and once that is broken, then I would imagine it's broken out of this broader range consolidation and looking to move down. Now, moving on to the DAX, we see the DAX has hit the resistance and is slowing down. There's a very thin market, especially from the close of markets on Friday. Need to look at to see how it's moving today. Intraday markets were not moving massively. We see some quite weak activity, so the sentiment's still relatively weak, so we're likely to see a landing, a slowdown once again for today, so we're likely to see it around about 7,900. The DAX, I would imagine, throughout the majority of this week is still likely to consolidate within this broader range of 7,800 to around 8,000. Moving now on to the Dow. The Dow was doing incredibly well. At 12,800 we got a strong bullish move, managed to break through a couple of relatively strong resistances. It's still having and will always have trouble breaking above any point of the current high, or the highest that it's ever traded before, simply because the sentiment in the market is not there. What we're likely to see is periods of consolidation within these sort of 3 points over the next few days. Be aware, of course, that the Dow has a propensity to move quite dramatically from points of support. So any key supports, such as the one we have here, the Dow does tend to react quite aggressively, depending on how the market sentiment is at the time. So the very bullish activity at 12,800 moved it up. I think that might have been the Fed announcement, and once again it's starting to weakening. One thing I'd like you to pay attention to is that from these Fed announcements, the reactions are becoming less and less. No longer are there huge gains or reactions to the Fed's announcements. It's sort of almost seen as it really is, which is a band-aid approach, where it's just trying to sort of put its thumb over a leaking hole, hoping that it would go away. And I think a lot of the market in general is starting to realise that's what's going on with the Fed. Right, moving now on to the FTSE. Similar in very many ways to the CAC. Hit a resistance at 6,600. Broke through a support around about 6,440. Somewhere around there. It's a bit difficult to see on this chart. Likelihood to land at support around about 6,300. So we could see a consolidation within this, but much like the CAC, we need to look for the possibility of moving further still. This is likely to be a relatively strong support at 6,300, and in fact if we look at the intraday moves, we can see the market's opened up at around about 6,300 and staying at around that point. So with it hovering around this point of support, there's a pretty much good chance that with it being incredibly bearish the last week or so, that it could even push it a bit further down still. So you need to look over the next couple of days for that. Subtle hints tend to be strong intraday moves that jut below the resistance, the support rather. So we'd see the real bodies of the candles above this line, above the support, still very thin, but the intraday moves are likely to be below. That would give us a hint that it's likely to move lower into this lower consolidation. Moving on now to the NASDAQ. NASDAQ's a bit messy at the moment, still trading within a broad range consolidation around about 2150 to 22050, likely to continue doing that. The NASDAQ sometimes trends incredibly well, but at the moment it's looking to be very messy indeed. I don't think that's likely to recover anything over the next week, certainly not over the Christmas period. Need to sort of re-examine it once again in the new year. And finally with the NIK 22225, huge retracements from 1600. Once again, one of the things that the NIK does do very well is break through the supports and resistances as though they're not there. Sometimes it does realise they're there and slows down, but once again the NIK is on target for hitting a low once again at 1500, which was the very old support, the strongest support which we have for the NIK. So look at a possibility of it landing round there. It could land a bit further up at the bottom of that candle, but it's more likely to move within this lower consolidation. So that's this week's Tech A video newsletter on the 17th of December 2007. We'll be back. I need to just figure out the date when we are back. We will be back on Monday the 7th of January 2008 in the new year. So we're back on Monday the 7th of January 2008. So I hope you enjoy these videos, and I'll hope you have a fantastic Christmas and a good new year, and we'll see you then. Okay, bye bye now.